Welcome back to the show, everybody. We got some great news for you. We got some new news on R3 that's been posted. We got some news from U.S. Congress, and I think we can tie in how it's going to align with the SEC. You may not like it, actually. And we're going to hear from people about the price of the market right now, which has been falling like a manhole cover from the sky. When moon? I don't know. Let's roll the beautiful intro. Here we go.
This is Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Subscribe for new content notifications. Now, here's Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow me on Twitter at BackupBradleyAbove and everything that we're talking about here today. This is our page on Facebook, ladies and gentlemen. We are now on Facebook, and so is our entire video library, minus the live streams from the early days. So make sure you go there, check out the content. We will be adding content that is exclusive just to Facebook. So make sure you hit the like and follow there, and you'll be able to catch the videos as well. So let's get right to it. Today, 1.6 trillion is where the crypto market cap is. A lot of money missing from this space. Let's move quickly because we have a lot of information to go through. Right now we're at 83 cents. The technical experts out here, whether they're talking about Bitcoin or whether they're talking about XRP, are calling for an upside. And all I can say to you is that's not financial advice, and none of this is financial advice from me or anyone else that we cover here. But what I can say is that, there are a lot of people that still align that say that we have got some upside coming to us, even though we've been experiencing a lot of sideways and downward motion in the last couple weeks. So with that being said, we're off by 4.68% and ranging on the low end between 82 cents and 88 cents on the high end. We're sitting at 83 cents currently. So here we go. Let's get into the news. First thing I want to start with right here is from Quad Jack CSC. Talks about a coin that I like, not endorsing it. I'm just saying it's in my portfolio. So, hey, he asked here to bet MGM here. He says, King of the sports books, you see, I see you serve all the legal gambling states in the United States. What if I told you that simply by adding the deposit withdrawal method of Casino Coin, you would have access to over 10,000 new players? I tell you, I'm excited about Casino Coin because, one, there's billions upon billions of dollars worth of online gambling every year. Two, it's because Casino Coin has now brought their project onto the ledger, and I think anything coming off the ledger stands a good chance of making it through the regulation hurdles that we've yet to see roll out. So pretty excited about that for myself, and shout out to Casino Coin. And I also saw in the flow of the news out here, searching through news, Uphold is considering listing Casino Coin. So maybe we could all politely tag Uphold and say what a great idea that would be. Bond Crypt XRP, the vast majority, 81% of fund managers think Bitcoin is in a bubble. Over 200 fund managers with over 650 billion in assets under management were surveyed for this report. 4 in every 5 said Bitcoin is currently overpriced. That doesn't mean it won't go higher, right? I'm not trying to be combative to the information, but the reality here is this. Let's take a look. This is a chart from Plan B showing you that they're on target to get up here around this $100,000 mark, regardless of whatever pain they're feeling right now. And this has been the chart since back in 2010. So this is here's your chart, right? So it doesn't mean that that's going to happen, but, a lot of times things do rhyme when we're talking about charts. And we even saw here from Credible Crypto, who's somebody we follow quite closely here on the channel. Shout out to you. Every move below 40,000 is a distraction to shake out before 100+ thousand Bitcoin. So there's some believers out here that the market's got something left to give, and I'm one of them myself. Certainly not financial advice, but that's where I feel, and I align with them. Steve Hanke, a professional of applied economics at Johns Hopkins University, has warned that El Salvador's recent adoption of Bitcoin as legal tender has the potential to completely collapse the economy. How about that one? Yeah, this isn't over by a long shot. I think if anything, it's put something like Bitcoin and proof of work more so into the crosshairs of market regulators and government officials around the world. not just in El Salvador or anywhere else, I think around the world. So with that being said, hey, if it becomes a catalyst to help drive regulatory framework that we certainly need here in the U.S., if that, along with the SEC versus Ripple case, becomes a catalyst to that, which we certainly know is a catalyst to that. And speaking of which, here, this is compliments of Attorney Seal shared by Michael Val 5 Links. Both are Hall of Famers here. Breaking Ripple scores another win against the SEC. Judge leaves its lobbying efforts under wrap. We did cover this in the morning video, but I think that's important news that we quickly touch on that again. Here's some news we haven't touched on in a while about dLocal. dLocal is a Ripple partner that now works with Amazon to enable international merchants to sell their products in Brazil. Shout out to them. And here's some more little news here. This is from Wrath of Comment. If you don't follow Wrath of Comment, you probably should. Chikuhao, I believe it is, and forgive me if I said it wrong, bank has adopted SBI's Money Tap app, which runs on Ripple for money transfers. Now, I thought this was interesting just because we know SBI, Yoshitaka Kitao, early investor in Ripple and XRP, huge advocate to start using the asset in all areas, including Money Tap. So that is very exciting. It seems like we're getting closer and closer all the time, and we're going to look at some other evidence here too that I think says that as well. But as for the United States, SEC announces that it will not tackle cryptocurrency regulation this year. Now, this is the article right here, and it just basically goes on to say, you know, on the to-do list of the SEC and Chairman Gary Gensler, it's really not listed that crypto is front and center here. I want to play you this clip right here, and shout out to Crypto Updates here for posting this clip of Gary Gensler talking about the fact that he feels most cryptos, generally speaking, and with the exclusion of some, we don't know which ones, but certainly most cryptos to Gary Gensler are in fact securities, even beyond some that are ICOs. He does distinguish this. Listen.
Gary, I wanted to pivot to the issue of crypto, something that you're very familiar with. You taught a whole class at MIT about crypto, and thus far the SEC has not gotten into the business of trying to regulate it. You've made some comments that you think that Congress ultimately will have to do it. What do you think, to the extent that it should be regulated, how would you do it? What are you thinking?
Well, so you're right. I was honored to teach not just one, but a multiple levels of different courses in financial technology and in cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. I think to the extent something is a security, the SEC has a lot of authority, and a lot of crypto tokens, I won't call them cryptocurrencies for this moment, but crypto tokens are indeed securities. The prior chair had indicated that. The prior SEC brought numerous enforcement actions to sort of bring some of those security or investment contract tokens into the rules. But there are some, like Bitcoin, if I can just focus on that, and that's about half of this $2 trillion asset class right now. It's a digital, scarce store of value, but highly volatile. And there's investors that want to trade that and trade that for its volatility, in some cases just for it has lower correlation with other markets. I think that we need greater investor protection there, and we don't
need greater investor protection there when he's speaking about Bitcoin and the volatility, and that's cool. They want to trade it. It's a market that doesn't correlate, or how it correlates, trading, how it correlates against other markets. All great points, but he says we need more investor protection there. How do you get that? How do you get that? I got a big question for you. If you and I are trading the volatility of Bitcoin, and the miners all of a sudden stop mining on the network, what happens to the price of you and I and our Bitcoin? That is a definition of profiting off the backs of others, right? That's an expectation of profit off of others. Like I said, you may not have, boardroom voting rights to a stock, but that doesn't mean that the man that you're looking at here couldn't craft an issuance and write a amendment or regulation that could deal with that subtlety, right? Just like the fact that we've heard this same guy talk about the fact that utility coins have some utility, a little bit of utility, doesn't mean very much to him, right? As opposed to being able to raise billions of dollars off the back of this said technology. Keep listening.
We don't have a federal regime overseeing the crypto exchanges. So if an investor wants to trade on that Bitcoin, understanding it's highly volatile, highly speculative, but if they want to trade on that we have in place some investor protection. And that's what I was saying, I think, is a gap in our system right now.
It is a gap in the system because the system he's talking about is the conventional framework that exists for securities, because he's the Security Exchange Commissioner. And that's what he's referencing without saying it. That's what's missing. Right now, I want you to do what I do often, which is superimpose that framework over top of this emerging market for a moment. For a moment, overlay the regulatory and distribution framework of the securities market over top of this market for a second. And ask yourself, wouldn't it be easier if you wanted to introduce a new asset class of some kind, to roll it out within the distributed framework that exists from the broker-dealer all the way to the market regulator, knowing that compliance and governance is built in at every single point of the chain all the way through the process, right? From the company upstart, right, to listing on an exchange, to the dealer broker, and all the regulation and compliance that needs to be met in between every single point of that existence, of that said digital asset security. Potentially. Maybe none of this happens. But listen, keep listening here. You're going to see why we're talking about all of this in a second here.
But it's a gap in our system that needs to be addressed by whom? Is that something that Congress will have to address? Because it's very possible Congress won't address it. And if they don't, is that something that you think you have an angle to address?
Well, I think that as it relates to Bitcoin, and I'm not speaking to all the other tokens right now, but as it relates to Bitcoin, while our sister agency, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, has some limited anti-fraud and anti-manipulation authority, there's no federal authority to actually bring a regime to the crypto exchanges. Whether it's stock exchanges or futures exchanges, there's regimes that were put in place in the 1930s to help protect against fraud and manipulation on the exchanges and protect the integrity of that. And I think that's really something that we'll be working with Congress, and if they see fit, to try to bring some protection for people that want to invest in this speculative asset class.
And there you have it. And to me, that really says everything that we need to hear here. And, that's why the article itself has basically said that there will be no cryptocurrency regulation this year announced from the SEC, generally speaking. And I believe that that's probably right, because they're going to need Congress. And look what Congress is doing. U.S. House Committee on Financial Services here. Let's make sure. I know I was following them. I don't know why they're not. Sometimes Twitter turns my follows off. It's crazy. Breaking chairwoman, Representative Maxine Waters announces Digital Assets Working Group. And this is to get clarity on what these things are. Make no mistake that this is not mutually exclusive from this event and him talking and saying what he's saying here. I believe absolutely there is the reason that the SEC announced it will not tackle crypto regulation this year is because Congress is about to. Maxine Waters, Digital Asset Working Group, right here. As cryptocurrencies, central bank digital currencies, and other digital assets enter the mainstream, the committee will look at how digital assets have begun to enter aspects of our lives and all the rest of it. Let's keep going right here, and let's look at some of this. And you see all the names of everyone on here. Digital Asset Working Group will focus on making sure there is responsible innovation in cryptocurrency and digital asset space This covers everything. Members are meeting regular with experts, government officials to learn about the challenges, promise of digital assets. Members plan to work together on legislation, policy solutions on such matters as cryptocurrency regulation. There you go. Like I said, there's a reason all of this is unfolding in the manner that it is. I believe Gary Gensler has had the proper meetings with Congress to tell them we need to have some form of legislation first that will give the legislative framework for Gary Gensler to roll out what I believe will be the rollout of introducing digital asset securities to the world. Because I believe as they roll these things out, some will be cryptocurrencies, some will be digital asset securities, and some might be, convertible virtual currencies, and who knows, and stable coins and whatever other designations they may or may not come up with. But my point is I believe that the best way to roll out this market is by making the slight issuances you need to adjust here and there for the majority of the market. In Gary Gensler's eyes, I believe, are digital asset securities. And if he gets the legislation that he needs in the right manner to deliver it from Congress, that will give him the ability to roll out what I believe is already his vision put together on how to regulate this space. Right? Because that's what the question is. How do they regulate this space? They know they can't stop the tech. So how do you regulate the space? You have to embrace it. To me, in my eyes, the best way to embrace the technology is to say, I get it. You're Bitcoin. Nobody can stop your tech. But I'm going to call you a security now. And anybody messing with you that hasn't gone through the proper dealer, broker, or registered this said asset as a security is now operating with outside of the law. What do you think about them apples, fella? Right? Isn't this what we're looking at? Some version that rhymes with this. Isn't this where we're going? Isn't this where they want to be, where it's easier to tuck it in here? Because if we make it a security with slight amendments and subtleties to address the subtleties, that these things have some utility and can transfer value, then we know that we're not going to have too much trouble with this new set asset class because we tucked it into the framework we know already works. Who knows where we go, but that's my thought on this day, I tell you. And looking at this XRP lawsuit, DJ Peter Vass here, thank you so much. XRP lawsuit, court's latest ruling means the case is going to end, and I do believe it will, but when? And I believe one of the big things about this, not to get the needle stuck on this too, but the reality here is that it looks like it could be at the end of the year here, according to Jeremy Hogan tweeting. And shout out to Jeremy Hogan. Not unexpected, but this will push the entire case back 60 days because of that extension on discovery for the SEC. Summary judgment sometime in December, January, absent a settlement. In other words, we could get a settlement anytime. But if we don't, then we're looking at summary judgment sometime around December, January. This case is going to end in early 2022. And if that's the case, doesn't this give the 6 or 8 or 10 months that Congress is going to need to get some kind of legislation dropped, whether it's the Token Taxonomy Act, Digital Commodities Exchange Act, or both pieces of legislation, or some blended version, right? But to me, this seems like this is going to be awful timely with the possibility that we may have a legislative bill really taken seriously and either passed or put forward, at the very least, in sometime around that same time frame. If Congress continues on the path they're on, we shall see. Now, there is some analysts and analytics are saying that it is bullish for some of the altcoins out here in the market, XRP being one of them. I'm not going to read you this article, but you guys know the lower the dip goes, if you understand the asset and you believe in what you're holding and you know what you hold, the lower the dip goes, then the more sellers are leaving the market, right? And at some point, it will be buy, goes to price. That's what I believe. And I believe, honestly, one of those moments that I'm waiting for is that R3 moment. In the video this morning, I reminded everybody of the relationship between R3, Swift GPI, and Ripple, and XRP, the digital asset as well, for settlement on the Corda platform, for which, oh my goodness, I have had many people, even other YouTubers, mouth and just tell you that you're wrong. It's not going to happen. That was old news. Well, it's going to happen, because here's a diagram from Van der Decken, and thank you, Van. And here it is, the Corda settler platform, showing you the XRP network right there. As a result of recent transaction, Company B has an obligation to pay some money to Company A denominated in USD. The beneficiary of the settlement, Company A, can choose the currency in which they'd like to be paid. In this case, Company A chooses, wait for it, XRP, baby. Yeah. That's all the evidence I need to see, and I'm not going anywhere until I start to see this happen on the regular from inside the banking system and all the businesses and platform that are built on platforms like the Corda settler. I'm not going anywhere till I see what the price looks like after that action starts happening. That's what I'm doing. That's it for me today. Hit the like and subscribe. Leave a comment below. Remember, I Trust Capital is the best gold, silver, crypto IRA on the planet, ladies and gentlemen, bar none. Believe you me, it really is. Make sure you check them out. And I've got some great news coming up about unstoppable domains tomorrow. I'll see you then. Take care.